everyone, I'm Amy of thericelover.com. The past couple days here in New York City, it's starting to feel a little like fall. So, today I'm making one of my absolute favorite soups, Shanghai Wonton soup, Shanghai菜肉馄饨. There are two main kinds of Shanghai wontons, 小馄饨, small pork and shrimp wontons that are usually eaten as a snack, or 菜肉馄饨, the more substantial meat and vegetable versions that are usually eaten as a meal. I'm making my favorite today, the big, juicy, and satisfying meal version. Traditionally, these wontons are made with pork, shellfish, and shepherd's purse. But I'm making a beef and carrot version today that can accommodate multiple dietary restrictions. I have a few tips along the way for making a proper wonton filling, and then I'll be showing you in detail my foolproof method for folding perfect wontons. So, if you're ready, let's jump right into it. For the vegetable portion of the filling, we'll start by peeling and grating about 4 ounces or 100 grams of carrots. That's about 1 medium carrot or half a large carrot. The best way to do this is to use the coarse holes on a box grater. Next, we'll finely chop a small bunch of watercress. I like about half as much watercress as carrots by volume. These two veggies are great choices for wonton or dumpling filling because they add moisture but won't make the filling too wet. For the meat part of the filling, we'll add 8 ounces, or about 250 grams, of ground beef. I like to use a higher fat content option, like 80-20, for juicier wontons. We'll also add 1 egg as a binder. I'd recommend wearing a plastic food service glove for this next part because the mixing gets really sticky. We'll stir well to combine, either by squeezing or folding the meat and veggies together. Right now, we're just looking to get the ingredients evenly distributed. To season, we'll use 1 teaspoon of light soy sauce. Add a generous pinch of salt to taste. For me, that was about a 1/4 teaspoon, and a generous dash of ground white pepper. I actually missed it in the video here, but I also added 2 teaspoons of finely minced ginger root to reduce the gaminess of the beef. This next part is the key for a great authentic wonton filling. We're going to mix the filling mixture until it's really sticky. To do that, hold your fingers like a claw and stir vigorously in one direction. This activates the myosin in the muscle fibers, which will make our filling cohesive and springy when we bite into it instead of loose and grainy. Alternatively, you could use the paddle attachment of a stand mixer and save yourself the arm workout. Alright, now we're ready to start wrapping the wontons. In addition to the filling we just made, you'll need a small bowl of tap water and some store-bought wonton wrappers. These Twin Marquee brand Shanghai-style wonton wrappers, 真味上海馄饨皮, are my favorite for this recipe. Dip your finger into the bowl of water and wet 3 sides of the wonton wrapper to help it stick. Add some wonton filling to the center of the wrapper. I'd use about 1 teaspoon to start. I'm roughly shaping the filling into a rectangle in the center of the wrapper, making sure that it stays inside where I wet the edges. Fold down the dry edge of the wrapper, and then fold up the opposite side to form a rectangle. Run your fingers over the top of the fold to make sure it seals, and then pinch the sides to form a little rectangular pillow. Next, add a drop of water to moisten one corner of the rectangle, and join it with the opposite corner along the same long edge. And now we have a perfectly formed Shanghai wonton. You'll get the hang of folding these in no time. I'll demonstrate again here so you can catch it all. We're wetting the 3 sides of the wonton wrapper. I made this wonton a little bigger than the last one, probably about 2 teaspoons of filling. I'd recommend starting with about 1 teaspoon and gradually increasing as you get more confident in your wonton folding skills. When you pinch the sides, make sure you squeeze out the excess air. We want tightly wrapped wontons because air pockets tend to cause breakage when cooking. Alright, and then pinch the 2 corners on the same long edge to form the wonton. Fold up the rest of the wontons the same way. This folding method comes from my parents' neighbor back when they lived in Shanghai. I've tried a bunch of different methods, and this one is the best I found for well-sealed wontons. And well-sealed wontons are flavorful wontons because water doesn't get into the filling when they cook. This recipe is perfect for freezing. If you keep a stash of these, you can have dinner on the table in 15 minutes. To freeze the wontons, we'll put the whole tray into the freezer. Make sure there's space in between the wontons to keep them from sticking together. Once they're frozen solid, pull them off the sheet tray and store them in a zip-top freezer bag with the air pressed out. They'll keep this way in the freezer for months. Let's move on to cooking the wontons. I'm using the ones I froze overnight, but the same cooking method applies for fresh wontons as well. Start by bringing a couple quarts of broth to a boil on high heat. This is homemade broth from leftover roast duck. Better than bouillon works just as well. Season to taste with a dash of soy sauce and a pinch of salt. Once the broth is at a rolling boil, turn the heat down to medium-high. That's 7.0 on this duck's top induction cooktop. We'll drop the wontons in one at a time so that they don't clump together. And then give the whole thing a gentle stir to prevent the wontons from sticking to the bottom of the pot. While these wontons are cooking, please remember to hit that thumbs up button and click to subscribe. We'll let the wontons and broth come back up to a boil on medium-high heat, stirring occasionally to prevent sticking. After the wontons float to the top, cook them for an additional 2 to 3 minutes, and then they're ready. The skin should become slightly translucent. To serve, we'll add a handful of finely chopped scallions, a dash of ground white pepper, and a few drops of sesame oil to the bottom of the bowl. Ladle over some hot broth to cook the scallions slightly, and then serve up the wontons in soup. These Shanghai wontons are a perfect soul-warming meal, especially as the temperatures are starting to drop. I'll include a link down below to the detailed recipe on my blog. That's thericelover.com. Please let me know if you have any questions or requests for future posts. See you next time, and happy cooking!